Hi, I'm Joe from School of Rock North Buffalo. When we're not making musicians, we're also fixing gear. So if you have a guitar or bass in need of love, if you need new strings, please bring it in. We'll be more than happy to help you. So not only do we do instruction and performance-based music, we also fix gear. So please bring it down to 9310 Trents Road, East Amherst, or you can give me a call at 716-317-7625. Again, School of Rock North Buffalo. We make musicians and we fix your gear.
On this episode, CHRIS Slade from the CHRIS Slade Timeline.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Talking About Rock. I'm Rob Edwards. Here we bring you rock interviews from veteran and upcoming artists. Subscribe on our YouTube channel to stay up to date. Follow us on our social media and our website, talkingaboutrock.com. Today's guest is a founding member of Manfred Mann's Earth Band. He's also recorded and toured with rock legends AC/DC from 1989 to 94, as well as working with other legendary artists such as Jimmy Page, Paul Rogers, David Gilmour, and Gary Moore. Currently, with his latest band, the CHRIS Slade Timeline, Dave just released the video for the track Time Flies from their new album, Timescape. Next, we speak with CHRIS Slade on Talking About Rock. All right, joining us now, let's welcome CHRIS Slade to the show. Hello, Chris.
Hi. Hi, Bob. How you doing?
Really good. Thanks for joining us. You know, you've played with so many legendary artists during your career, and with the current band, you got the project, the CHRIS Slade Timeline. You're kind of showcasing your music history at these shows.
Yep. I wanted to show what the band was all about. We've been together now about 12 years as a band. Same people. So, we must be doing something right.
Oh, definitely, yes. So do you want to tell us a little bit about some of the members you have in the lineup?
Yeah, guitar is James Crawford. Bass is Stevie G. He's also one of the singers. And the AC/DC voice, if you like, although he has other voices, is Bun Davis. And keyboards is Mike Clark.
Excellent. All right. And I think you just released a video for the track Time Flies also.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that track here?
It was the first side of the album, of the Timescape album, is all original songs. The second side, I wanted to do two sides, is covers, such as AC/DC, Asia, anything else been working on. And it was chosen really because it's what we had in the can. So we've been recording for at least 10 years. And there's all sorts of stuff there, but a lot of it is not mixed. So I used what was mixed and ready. I'm very pleased with it, actually.
Yeah, it's definitely very, very cool. Yeah, very cool. So we're going to take a quick break and check out the track for Time Flies, and then we'll be right back here with CHRIS Slade on Talking About Rock.
The dark light shows the road unseen. The path lies betwixt and between. Time and tide will wait for none. You'll see this when time is done. Take your time.
each life dies with every heart that beats, every heart that beats, every heartbeat, every heartbeat. Is quicker than the light. Strap in fast and hold on tight. There's no matter where you go, you'll just be where you thought so. There's no rhyme. This you'll find as time unwinds. There's no space, there's no time, just the silence of your mind. Time flies. Count the seconds out. Truth lies. The real truth will out. Time dies. So every second counts. Every second counts. Every second, every second. This you'll see when time is done.
Okay, we're back here on Talking About Rock with Chris Slade. Let's talk a little bit about your history. You've performed with so many, legendary artists. Tell us a little bit about working with the project with Jimmy Page and Paul Rogers and the Firm. I mean, they came out with some great tracks from that, Radioactive, Satisfaction Guaranteed, just to name a couple there.
Yeah, I still today at Timeline shows get people coming up, want me to sign that album. And I'm not joshing here, but they say, this is my favorite album. And that's the Firm, And, you know, maybe my favorite album would be Pink Floyd or, something like that. Or AC/DC.
Right.
But, I wouldn't say the Firm. And I get people all the time. Almost every show I do, get people coming up saying this is my favorite album of all time. And it's like, wow, that's something.
Yeah, just some amazing tracks, definitely people remember. And obviously, one of the amazing tracks you remembered for your founding member from Manfred Mann's Earth Band. And obviously, they have the legendary track, Blinded by the Light, probably the most well-known song. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I mean, that's lived on for so long and been redone by folks. And
yeah, it's played now, isn't it, on the radio?
yeah.
Every time I go to the States these days, I hear it at least twice on the radio. So it's never gone away, really. Written by Bruce Springsteen, of course. And it's funny, I say that at shows sometimes because we do it, Timeline do it on stage. And I talk about it and then I say Bruce Springsteen and people laugh. They think I'm joking about Springsteen writing that.
Right.
Because it was on his first album that disappeared without a trace. Greetings from Asbury Park is probably a multi-million seller now. But when it came out, nobody bought it. And we got given a copy, when I say we, Manfred Mann and myself got given a copy each of that album. And it was like, and Manfred took it away like I loved it. I'd never heard Springsteen before. I'd heard his name. People kept saying Springsteen, you want to see him. But I'd never heard any of his music. I heard it and I was absolutely knocked out with the whole concept of the band and his writing. Thought it was tremendous. And that was before he had any hits whatsoever. So Manfred took it away, took the album away, chose Blinded by the Light because he thought it was a good song and came up with a different arrangement. And the Earth Band thought it was tremendous. And so, we recorded it, didn't think any more of it. It's another track we recorded. That's good. We got another one in the can. And it exploded when it came out. So it gave Bruce his first ever hit record. And it also kicked his whole career off, of course. I said to the drummer, I said, hey, I was the original drummer on Blinded by the Light. He said, oh, that kept us going for a few years.
Yeah, definitely a legendary track that folks still remember, definitely. So another thing I wanted to touch on a little bit here as I was reading a little bit through your history. So when you actually got tapped by AC/DC the first go around, you were playing, I guess, with Gilmour when you received the call from them the first time to join. Was that correct?
Yes. They had a mutual manager in a guy called Stuart Young, no relation. You'd think he was one of the brothers, but he wasn't. Um, so they had a mutual manager, Gary Moore and AC/DC had a mutual manager. So I got a chance to audition, just to audition. And I found out afterwards, after all that, and I joined the band, that I was number 100 in the audition process. And which I was amazed at, actually. They tried everybody out from Australia, States, everywhere. And they were very thorough. So people, drummers from top bands used to call up and say, hey, don't tell my band, but I'd really like to try out with you guys. I'm not messing around. Top players, top bands. I'm not going to say who, of course, because they may still be in the band.
Right.
But and I was amazed to hear that. So I thought I did really badly when I did the audition. That they actually, cut a long story short, they called my house before I got home from the audition to say I got the job. My wife answered the phone and told me, you got the job, or told her that he's got the job. So I got lost on my way home. I was just an hour from home, but I got lost thinking about how badly I did in the audition. So there's a lesson there somewhere.
Yeah, obviously 100 was the lucky number for you with that. Definitely, they definitely liked what you had. And I've seen you mention in other interviews, the brothers kind of had this almost like a telepathy kind of thing where they kind of knew what each other was thinking. They really didn't have to vocalize it a lot. They were kind of always on the same wavelength with things. Is that true?
Yes, that's absolutely true. They didn't talk. They just looked at each other.
So that had to be a little unnerving sometimes because you were probably like, well, what are they thinking, right?
In the audition, they sat right in front of my bass drum, Angus and Malcolm. No pressure. You know, Brian was in one corner and Cliff's in the other corner. And they took 2 chairs, put them down, like 10 feet in front of my bass drum. I went, okay, Back in Black. Okay, I said. You count in, they said. So it's like, oh, geez. It's the first time. Here we go. I'll try this out. Click, 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 click. Bam. Da-da-da. You know? But, they were testing to see if you were going to fall apart or not.
Right. They needed you to jump right in it and to hit the ground running, so to speak, and be in there.
Yeah.
So the other thing I was reading here, it looks like they brought you back a second time, but then they had advised you that they wanted to bring back Phil Rudd for a while and keep you also on the side, I guess, just in case if something happened with Phil, because they weren't really sure where his chops were at, I guess. But you were like, you were like, I don't think that works for me, I think, correct?
Yeah, I said, well, sorry, but it was Malcolm who called me. I said, sorry, Mal, but if you're doing that, I'm gone. If it don't broke, don't fix it, because it wasn't broke. Well, not as far as I was concerned anyway. It was going very, very well. But of course, say a band, what am I going to say? So I didn't want to be hanging around waiting to see if, another month and we'll see if Phil's all right. And we'll go another couple of weeks and see if he's. And it would have worked, actually, if I only realized. My stupid pride got in the way, I suppose. It's a great shame, but there you go.
Yeah, I think after that you had the option, I think, to join Asia after that, correct? The current incarnation of what Asia was at that point. Is that correct?
Trying to remember. I don't have a chronological brain, I'm afraid. So even though this album's called Timescape and the band's called Timeline,
Exactly.
I don't have a sort of a chronological brain. But it sounds about right that
Yep.
Asia came after AC/DC. You know, they didn't. Asia didn't have a phone number for me or an email address. So they sent me a letter.
Old school.
They had my address, near enough anyway, and a letter came through my front door. And I find that still incredible, as old-fashioned as that, you know. And I was with the band for 7 years, I think, 5 to 7 years, off and on.
Yeah, definitely an interesting way to find that out for sure.
Yeah. And I had a great time with Asia because I was playing with a tremendous guitarist called Guthrie Govan, who is now considered to be one of the greatest in the world. And he's a friend, and he always was. And coincidentally, he gave, right at James Corford, who's the guitarist, right at the start of his playing guitar, Guthrie gave him lessons. So that's a bit of a coincidence.
Yes, yeah, definitely, definitely. You've played with lots of legendary guitarists. You know, you also want to talk to you a little bit about, you also work with Michael Schenker and Pete Way of UFO for a time as well.
Yep. Not together. But yes, I worked with Pete Way in a band called Damage Control, which didn't do very much, actually. Schenker, I worked with on and off again for like 5 years. And that was a nice experience, shall I say?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So many
He's
different
a tremendous
artists.
Tremendous player.
Yeah, yeah. You work with so many great artists in your career. Obviously, perfect name here for the outfit here, the Chris Slade Timeline. The new album Timescape is out now. Very, very cool. What's your plans going forward here? Do you have other videos to release, or are you looking at some dates you're playing, or?
We always it's a bit of a slow time at the moment. For Timeline, that is. And people are saving their money, I think, for big bands, you know, like AC/DC. And I think they've just finished right now. They just finished in the States, AC/DC.
Yeah, they just announced the Australian dates would be coming up. Yeah.
All right. So people are saving their money, as I say, and they also, because they don't have a lot these days, because of the political situation, and so they're choosing who they're going to see. And it's also summer, so it's not a great time for touring. So Timeline slowed down a little bit. We got plenty of dates next year coming in. So we'll see what happens. And we got some at the end of the year, of course, this year, 20. Oh, God. See my chronological brain kicking in there.
Right, in 25, yeah. So definitely, all right. Very cool. So folks out there, you can look forward to some dates coming out there. You can check that out for Chris Slade's Timeline. So that wraps up this episode of Talking About Rock. Thank you to my guest today, obviously Chris Slade. And shout out to our sponsors, School of Rock North Buffalo and Unleash Music. And to all our listeners, we hope you're keeping the torch alive and supporting live music wherever you are. Chris, again, thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed.